There we go. We've got audio. And let us begin. The menorah looks precious. We were changing the oil here, and it took a little bit more time. Okay, let us begin. Shabbat Shalom, my most esteemed friends, honorable judges, LVE tribe, as well as everyone accompanying us. On this rather precious day of Shabbat, a bit cold, but it's heating up a little bit, but we started cold from California, the US of A. Today is Shabbat, the 11th of Bol, or Heshvan, the 8th month of the year 5992 from creation, corresponding to the 25th of November. Last Shabbat of November, next one will already be in December of the year 2023, and we shall study yet another chapter of Revelation 17, the Seven Kings and the End of Babylon, part 57, which bears the title GAZA Part 4. Today is a rather precious day, a day in which we've already started in this series to talk about Gaza, the intro, and today we'll go into the prophecy fully. And so as to not study just one text that talks about Gaza, we have to study the whole context thereof. So then we'll study the whole book of Habakkuk, which is short, and then later on we'll move on to, I don't believe in this chapter, but in the next one, into Zephaniah, so as to complete what the subject that shakes the world today is Gaza. Very well. Without any further ado, let us seek our Elohim. Beloved Yahweh, we give you thanks for this so precious day of Shabbat. We give you thanks because we are living day to day this prophecy, and we rather wish that this whole situation gets to its conclusion of everything that you've written. All this we thank you for in your precious name, Yahweh Sabaoth. Alleluia. Yahweh has blessed with one more year of life the following members of the Eternal Truth: Daniel Bautista Sanchez, Mexico; Daniel Herrera, Chile; Rigoberto Vicente Santiago, Mexico; Andrea Jimenez de Rios, Argentina; Gloria Corredor de Sopo, Colombia; Marlene Campo González, Colombia; Karen Lázaro López, Mexico; Felipe David, Brazil; and Edward Ernesto Martinez, who we've got here today with us. A very happy birthday, Edward. Every one of them has had birthdays during this week, and we send them a great big hug to each and every one of you. And today we'll be celebrating Edward's birthday, which also we've lived a little bit through, because on Thursday we got together to celebrate Thanksgiving Day, and it was when the sun went down that Edward started to live his day of his birthday. Today we'll be celebrating your birthday then, Edward. A great big hug to each and every one of you that has had a birthday. May it be the last one under this system of Babylon. I always say the same thing, but that is my wish. Very well. As you've already seen, Leslie has already put up the tree, at least this one. We still need all the rest, but at least this one, she put it up so that we can see it in the study, so that the Messianics can criticize us, and the Christians say, but that's pagan and blah, blah, blah. But for us, LVE, we understand the meaning of all this. And Leslie had the idea of putting up of Boca, and it's spectacular. I'd never seen a tree not even like it, nor had it gone up to my imagination. And I said, this year I want yellow and green ones, gold ones. And she put it up, and it's precious. In person, it looks spectacular. To tell the truth, it is fascinating, this tree. Spectacular. In person, you can appreciate it even better than in pictures. But there we have it. Very, very original. I loved it. Dressed like angels. More than Boca, dressed with angels in that blue, which is the most precious color in Jewish culture, and gold. Remember that Boca Juniors are not blue and gold. It's not blue in... It's called blue and gold. The blue and gold. Not blue and golden, but blue and gold. Those are the colors. Blue and gold. I loved it. Leslie, fascinating. It's been super, super original. I loved it. Very well. And today we are already enjoying this tree. We've already gone past the day of Thanksgiving, and then after Thanksgiving, it is the tradition to already start to put up all the Christmas adornments. As our table looks like this. We have everything perfectly well. I didn't ask you if you could hear me well because I had to connect everything, and I just connected everything already. So if you can hear me, you can tell me if you can hear me well. I believe so. You can hear me well. Okay. 2 little bars indicate me here that it's my only God that I have, that the sound is going out. Very well. Perfect. So then there are some people that have yet, very late, they remembered, or they considered it. They have asked me for the ring. To those people that asked me, I've already answered, but to everyone I tell you the same thing. The ring from here on out has changed. The terms have changed of how we could give it to you and ask for it. The ring, if you want it, if somebody noticed that they lost their great opportunity of having it before and they want the ring, you can still write to me, but I cannot order it, nor will I order it from the jeweler until you pay for the complete price of the ring. You have to pay for it completely in order for me to barely then order it. And the price of the ring, we're going to fix it in $300 with shipping and everything. So if somebody wants the ring, you already know. Answer, everything's the same thing. I no longer order rings. Only if somebody really, for some reason, they want it, they have to pay it in full in order for me to order it. And once it's ready, in some weeks, I'll give it to you. Very well. That's what I wanted to say, because many have asked me. And you already know it officially. And 300 is for now, okay? Because the price of the materials are going up, and also the work of art, it's insanity. There's not inflation only in Argentina and other places, it's here too. Everything is varying, the prices are, as something that the US has never seen, and it's rather something crazy how the prices are going up. So then that is just for now, per se. This is Shabbat, and for now, until, if you want to order it, the price could vary. Okay. Let me remind you that we have a free service in the Eternal Truth, and it is, Angelina is in charge of it, which is Angelina's consult. If you have some problem in your life that is reflected in your health, she can help you to find out where it's coming from and indicate to you where it's coming from, and you can adjust the changes so that your health can become better, so that you go through what you're living through, you can surpass it, and it's a complete freely service that the Eternal Truth provides for every one of you, and those of you that are not of you, but are rather family members, people that you know that are not of the Eternal Truth. Either way, we accept everyone, absolutely everyone. Aside from them, it's got this laurel spectacular leaves in the central part. They are rather precious. And you have little balls, laurels, golden laurels, and like blue little balls. What are they called? Hollies? Hollies, they're kind of like hollies, holly berries, but they're blue. Laurels, spectacular, Leslie. I mean, these laurels. Here, these. I'm gonna take one out so you see them. Exactly, and wow, they are rather spectacular. Let's place it here. I don't know if it goes there, but it'll be right there. Okay. Okay. There it is. There it is. Very well. Very well. Very well. The moon's about to come up and to be seen? No, not yet. No, not yet. We're barely on number 11, so then we're doing okay. Shemah Israel, YHWH Eloheinu, YHWH Ekhad. Good thing it doesn't say Shema Palestine. Already with that, we should know and understand many things. Sometimes, with our human eyes, we let ourselves be guided by the normal inclinations of human beings. But notice that the base of this ministry is Shema Israel, not Shema Palestine. It's Shema Israel. So then, who is the message directed to? This message is directed to Israel. There is no one that is a part of what is the Mashiach that is not Israel. That has to be very clear for you. There's no men that do not consider themselves part of Israel. Leave it like that, so that you don't see it like a race, but actually you see it like something that is taken from within. All those that, it's also a race aside from that, all those that will make what the Mashiach is are Israel, and they understand they're Israel. They have nothing from other religions. They're Israel. That is why the base itself of the Shema in this whole religion is Shema Israel. YHWH Eloheinu, YHWH Ekhad. Proverbs 22:2, 25:2. It is the glory of Elohim to conceal the word, yet honor of the king is to search out the word, glory or honor. The Bible is hidden. The Bible is not for everyone. And those are the things that the people will, in the future, complain. Of course, last Shabbat, you can apply it in many aspects. The people will say, and why did we not understand the Bible? Why didn't we understand it? We read it. We would hear the great pastors, the great ministers, the great commentators, the great theologians, and they were all wrong. How is it that we didn't understand it? They're going to get upset when they know that it was not destined for them. It will not feel so great for them. I can assure you these things what will happen once you extend what reality is. That is why I told you that all the love that the people have for God, all of it, absolutely all of it, 100%, the love that the Christians have towards God will disappear entirely. They're not going to be able to translate that love to the true Elohim. First of all, the great majority, except for some sects and beliefs here and there, the great majority have their love spread out in a Trinity. When the Trinity disappears, that love also disappears because they base their love in something fictitious. Also, they have their love developed by the Son of God. You have God the Father and the Son of God. When they find out that there is no such thing as the Son of God and some God, but it's only one being, it'll disappear. It's left to naught. Not because they love the concept that does not exist, and when you love a concept that does not exist, when reality hits, you cannot love. That love disappears completely, zero. So as to not say that it becomes a rejection, it's as if to say I can love the globe. I used to love the globe before. I had even bought me many earth globes. I wanted to have it there. It was pretty. Where I lived in the earth globe. It was pretty. Every movie you watch in Hollywood, you see the globe, universal globe. You always see the symbol of the globe, and you have it as something that you love because it's our home, our great home. The day that the globe disappears, you already see it like upset. It completely disappears, the love for the globe, because the globe does not exist, so then it disappears. That is what will happen with God. When all the Christians understand the true concept of who the Creator is, in their mind, it'll enter into a great dichotomy, in a great, what was that term? cognitive dissonance, both things. I was saying, like, but how? I cannot, because they have fallen in love with something that does not exist. Directly, it does not exist. That is why they're going to have to renew their love, and they're going to have to learn to love a creator that they never knew, and a Mashiach. That's the way it is. Very well. That's why the word is concealed. That's one of the reasons. Jeremiah, and this explains it, Jeremiah 16:19-21. Nakarkalonga says, Yahweh, my strength and my fortress, my refuge in the day of tribulation, unto thee shall come the peoples, every one of them, from the ends of the earth, in other words, those that are near, and to the very last ones, and they shall say, only lies was the inheritance of our fathers, vanity to which there is no avail. If it is man that makes himself gods, then they're not gods. That's the problem right there. They're going to say, but the Trinity was not a God. But this was not a God, but the Father was not a God. That whole concept that I had was not God. Only lies was the inheritance of our fathers. That is why, behold, I should make it be known to them, because they don't know. Behold, I shall show them the strength of mine arm, and they shall know that my name is Yahweh. The whole love that they had for God will disappear entirely. They're going to have to develop a new love based on something true. Even the concept of Satan, what I've told you, the concept of God, that he's fighting with Satan, all that will disappear, absolutely. Malachi 2:17, ye have wearied Yahweh with your words, and ye say, what have we wearied him? In that ye say, whomever that doth evil pleaseth Yahweh, and in such he delighteth, or else, where is the Elohim of justice? Everything is the same thing, we agree. Where is the Elohim of justice? It would seem as if Yahweh pleases in those that doth evil. That is why today we have Mr. Shark here today, that he had to be here. He combines with the colors. He's here next to the statue of Nebuchadnezzar representing Babylon, and who has to be destroyed, and is protesting, where is the Elohim of justice? And the truth, it becomes difficult to understand what the Elohim of justice is, why this never gets to an end, and it becomes difficult. But I believe that we're still in the course of the prophecy without any problems. I've chosen the very same text because I loved it, and I wanted to record it in the mind of all of you. Psalms 83:17 and 18. Last Shabbat, we read the whole psalm, and today you understand who's speaking, which are precisely all these countries, these Muslim countries per se. I want to, so as to say it clearly, which the Muslim countries, which they're already getting together. They've already gotten together, but in the end of it all, they get together, especially to say, let us erase Israel from the map. Let us erase the name of Israel forever. And within those that get together to conspire are the inhabitants of Muslims. And all those people that we've read the whole chapter, it says, let them be confounded forever. Let them perish forever, and may they know that your name is Yahweh. Only you, how great, and how do I love this text. Only you, the Most High, above all the earth. Only one Elohim, the Most High, above all the earth. Only one Mashiach, which is what we're about to see. Last Shabbat, we talked about something very special that, according to the comments that you gave me, it surprised all of you, or at least the great majority, or the great majority, that you thought that Israel, by being directly the actor or the actress of Revelation 17, representing the prostitute, the mother, which is Israel, the beast, which is Israel. Of course, You could think that we have to oppose Israel and be on the contrary side of Israel. The thing is, very simple, very simple subject. Situation is that we are Israel. Now that we have a part of the people, true or false, that doesn't matter. We have to turn that one off also. I forgot about that one. Whether it's true or fake, of course, because sometimes we say, no, but what if Yahweh will decide, you come here, you're the true Jews, those that call themselves Jews are not, but they do lie. Either way, whether they're a true race directly from the ancient Israel or they're Ashkenazi, let's suppose, so as to not affirm that they don't come from roots that are directly from that land. In other words, they're not Semitic, but they come from European roots, which are Japheth, because you got that also. I do not care. If they're from Japheth and they want to look like Shem, and that in some time, in the kingdom of Ashkenaz, some king decided what was the religion they were going to follow, and they all believed it, and the sons believed it, and the grandchildren followed, and they all thought that they were part of the people, and they weren't, but rather they're from Japheth, but they made them believe that they were from, that doesn't matter. That fulfills the prophecy either way. So then taking that part out, which there could be a mixture, it was necessary, prophetically speaking, necessary for the prophecy, necessary for us, necessary for the creation of the world, that Israel were to come back again to have a place that is their nation. If that were to not happen, then the word of Yeshua were not going to be fulfilled. Because Yeshua said, look at the fig tree. When its roots are flourishing, know that the time is near. So then Israel, whether we like it or not, their way of acting as a prostitute, whether we like that they're a beast or not, it was necessary, and they had the power, more than the blessing, the power of Yahweh. Because what Israel did would not have ever been achieved if it had not been due to the direct power of Yahweh. And they tell you clearly, the Bible does, it's just that it is in an enigma, in parables, but they tell you clearly who gave him power. And you know this by memory. Revelation part 13. Revelation chapter 13. And the beast that I saw was like unto a leopard, and its feet like bears, and their mouth like a lion. That beast is Israel. Not Rome, but of course, there's people that say that. There's some Christians saying that here, that beast that was like unto a leopard, because they were acquiring things from different empires. And that's why they had characteristics of different empires where they emigrated to, and they were absorbing customs. And the beast that I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet like a bear, and its mouth like a lion. And the dragon, who is the dragon? The dragon is called Yahweh. He is the dragon, Yahweh is. Or else it could not be whomever. And the dragon gave its power. They have the power of Yahweh. It's as simple as that. The beast has the power of Yahweh, or else they could not be a beast. They could never be a beast. The dragon gave its power. They have the divine power. That's why they did what they did. And its throne, of course, it gave him where always the dragon wanted to reign. Right there, precisely. So they're not just power, but gives him a throne. When did he give him the throne? in 1947 when the decree is given that they can live in Israel, and in 1948 they dictate the Constitution of the State of Israel, gave its throne and great authority. What does Israel have? Because we're talking about a physical Israel, but a spiritual Israel that is ruling in every place of this earth, in science, in medicine, in the entertainment, in politics, and in the religion, in everything. And don't even mention economy, everything. They own everything. Why do they own everything? Because they've got divine power. Yahweh gave it to them. We cannot fight against that because it is the design of Yahweh. It's the design of Yahweh. Until a certain point when it's taken away. Since it was given to them, it'll be taken away, of course. But I'll read the text again, and it says, "And the beast that I saw was like unto a leopard, and its feet like a bear, and its mouth like the mouth of a lion, and the dragon," Yahweh, "gave his power to them, its throne, and great authority. And I saw one of its heads that seemed wounded beyond recovery, but the fatal wound was healed." When was it healed? When they get their land back. And the whole world marveled at this beast, and they worshipped the dragon that had given beast to such power, and they also worshipped the beast, saying, "Who is as the great as the beast, and who is able to fight against him?" Of course, they worship the Creator because the whole entire people, they know who the dragon is. They don't see him as a dragon, but they worship the dragon, which is Yahweh. And we also worship the dragon. And we understand clearly this whole significance because it's all concealed. It's everything in parables. So tell me, who can understand this? No one. There is no group on this earth that understands that the dragon is Yahweh. It goes against, when you talk about something being concealed at a human level, it is possible to decipher, but when Yahweh conceals something at a human level, it is impossible to decipher. It's impossible because it goes against every principle that Yahweh is the dragon. It cannot be. Yes, he is. He's the ancient serpent, the one that deceived Eve. So then, when the inspiration is given to you by himself, when the book gives you the itself, is when you can understand it, but it's not by human effort. It is not by human intelligence, not by a human deduction. It is when he decides who becomes the dragon. It's like he pleased to give his power over to Israel, his seat, of even from Jerusalem and the whole rest of it, and great authority, period. That is the beast. But the beast, in turn, is a part of what's evil and also of what's good, because the Mashiach is Israel. It is the very same group. The very same group. How can I make you understand this? In other words, I want you to understand it clearly. Clearly. When Yahweh came to earth, and he made himself be called Yeshua, Israel was entirely lost. But that didn't make Yahweh to be a different people. No. He came to his own, and his own did not receive him, but he came to his own. He didn't come to other strangers. He came to his own. Because the salvation, he said to the whole world, but especially to this Samaritan woman, he said, look, salvation comes from the Jews. You have to understand it because you're Samaritan. You're against the Jews. I understand you're against the Jews, she says. And you think that God gave you this mountain so that you come and worship. And I tell you something. If you continue to study in this mountain thinking that you have the truth, you're wrong. The salvation comes from the Jews. She said very clearly. So then, when we understand that concept very clearly, we understand it. We understand on what part we should be. Not by supporting them or anything of the sort because we know who they are. But whether they're good or bad, we are part of that people. We have, per se, our brethren who are very wrong. The disciples against the rest of Israel, the Pharisees and the rest. But of course, that's the way it is. That's the way it is. Completely, that's the way it is. Never is Yahweh would get from a different people a Messiah. The Messiah has to be from Israel. He has to be from Israel. The Messiah has to, but of course. So then, that concept has to be clear in us. Absolutely clear. Very well. To everything that I said last Shabbat, that many, it sounded very harsh and all the rest. And I first tried to clarify that I am not the one that decides things. It's the Creator. And if some people, if He wants to make people in a way, I'm not here to judge how He made them when I read the story of how it'll be. So then all the people that enter into that category of ass man, I know that the term is derogatory. It says wild ass in English. Wild ass. Ass. You don't use it for, because directly you use it for to call it an ass. I brought my ass here, but now it's used for other things, so they call him donkey, but anciently it was an ass. It was an ass. And what do they call these type of people? Wild ass. Ass is a wild ass. A man. A wild ass man. I know it's degrading. I know. Would I have used it just because you can expect anything? It was not my intention to may it be derogatory. No, not that I don't like them. It's something else. But it was, I didn't want to be disrespectful. I just guided myself due to the biblical words. There's a race of wild asses. I'm sorry if you don't like it, because if you don't like it, you don't like the biblical words. Yahweh says that the descendants of Ishmael will be wild men. No, not wild men. They'll be wild donkeys, wild ass men, wild donkey men. And they'll all be against them, and they'll be against everyone, but in turn they'll live before their brethren. It'll be right in their face, and deal with it. And that is my blessing, and I do what I want. Yahweh says, I make wild ass men. I also make a beast with my people, and I make it a beast, practically a divine one. And what they touch, they make it their own. They'll be the owners of the world. They'll have all the resources of the world. They are the power of everything. I made it this way. Well, how are you going to argue with me? I made it. I even give them their seat. The desire of the whole world, that is the earth, the holy land. I'll give it to them also. How do you like it? I give everything to them. Who could tell them anything? No one, absolutely no one. And I see that as well. That's fine. And so then I know where to position myself. Humanly speaking, of course I could feel pity to see children suffering, but of course I don't even want to look at the images. In fact, I'm not looking at images because they don't make me feel good. I see the women crying, covering, and they don't make me feel good whatsoever. But I've got to decide in my mind if what my feelings make me see as getting on the side of them, or biblically or prophetically speaking and everything, all the rest, where I'm going to position myself. And my mind is clear. The wild asses are wild asses. And I have to make a difference from my own thoughts. That is why I've told you at the beginning of last Shabbat, I'm kind of like, I don't remember what words I used. I'm kind of like with feelings, with false feelings. that are kind of mixed feelings. Because on one side I see how the way I should be, but the other side it makes no sense what I'm seeing. It makes no explanation. Because to see destruction with bombs and children suffering, my mind says this has to stop. How do they come to do all these types of destruction? That is a problem. So then, on what side do I have to get? And I have to find a place where I have to be, which is in the prophecy. Very well. To everything else said last Shabbat.
And also those who questioned you about the part where it says that here, those who claim to be Jews and are not, that's within the description of the character of a church. And something like that about the church where you cannot mix that because they claim to be a Jews and are not, that they're describing a church that talks about the personalities of applying it to Israel.
Exactly. And no, I mean, they could apply it, but that doesn't mean that that's the application. They can apply it, exactly. They can apply it, but it doesn't mean that that's the application. They can't literally apply it to that. Because if it weren't Israel, it is Israel, that Israel, then it would not be following the prophecy of a fig tree, but a fake one. Do you understand what I'm saying? So then it goes way past the mixture of races and all that. It goes way past that. It goes way past that. Very well. To everything I said last Shabbat, I needed to add something, which I didn't mention it because I will mention it now. I want you to think, what group of the 4 reduced to 3 that I said last Shabbat, what group has more possibilities of accepting the Mashiach? I spoke about the groups, the Christian ones, Muslims, pagans, and Jewish. I spoke of those 4 groups that we could reduce. Well, I didn't want to reduce it this time. Christians, Muslims, pagans, and they all enter there. Atheists, those that worship whatever thing, from Buddha, the sun, whatever. All the way up to the Jews. What group would be more inclined to, so when the Mashiach appears with what we know that the Mashiach is, which is a human group, would they be more willing to accept it or reject it? Which of them all? Of course, we could say and add, I don't know if I should add it, but we should, of course, we're talking about non-marked groups. Maybe there are marked groups that get up to the Mashiach to see if they can obtain the salvation, but that doesn't matter. But taking that out, marked and all that, which of the 4 groups have a higher chance of accepting the Mashiach with open arms? This is a very interesting question because it's many different ways of thinking. Might it be the Christians that are going to embrace the Messiah? Might it be the Muslims that are going to embrace the Messiah? Might it be the pagans that are going to embrace the Messiah? Or might it be the Jews that will embrace the Messiah? Which of those 4 groups have, under logic, complete, we're still in process thereof, but in the logic, could we predict who has a better chance of accepting us? Of course, there's going to be exceptions of the groups and all the rest, but group is more qualified due to the beliefs that they have in accepting the Mashiach, just as, and we know who it is, the Son of Man, which is no God that comes from heaven, which is not the Son of God that is in heaven, that is not the Mashiach that came 2,000 years ago, of course. So then, which of the 4 groups has a better chance? Let's start with the Christians. Let's start with the Christians. The Christians, I don't see any possibility whatsoever. I mean, none. 0. except for some exceptions. But the Christians, every one of them, I don't see any chance whatsoever for them to look at a human form and for them to say, this guy lived with us down here, and this group of people live down here with us, and now you say that you're the Messiah? Absolutely not. There's no possibility. Just like that, zero chance. Even if it would seem how crazy, if we thought that we were closer to Christianity, say no, absolutely not. The eternal truth is closer to Judaism, absolutely not of Christianity. Christianity, everything is separated thereof. What God do we worship? The Christian God or the Jewish one? Absolutely, the answer you have is Shema Israel. Not Shema Christian Church. Shema Israel. We believe that we're going to be taken up into a rapture. Absolutely Jewish thought. We think that we're going to live. Absolutely not. We're going to live 1,000 years here on earth. We believe, well, a whole bunch of things. On what side we're closer to? Of course, on Judaism, that is absolutely clear. I mean, I can't even develop that even more because we draw away from it even more in what we believe in. So then, I don't see any possibility whatsoever for the Christians unless they renounce everything they've believed in about Christ. All the Christians are followers of Christ. Of what Christ? That is the problem. They are waiting for the figure that came 2,000 years ago. And the figure that came 2,000 years ago will never, ever come back. But that figure will not exist ever again. And if to that we add that they come in down from the clouds with millions of angels, that does not exist. But the Christians wish for that, and that does not exist. They desire for the Mashiach, the Christ of 2,000 years ago, and the Christ is no longer existed forever. In fact, the red heifer from Paraduma, which we studied clearly, that rite that would seem witchcraft rite, which you would grab a completely red heifer, a female, of course, that was perfect, and you would burn that heifer along with some things, and I can't remember exactly what they would tie onto it. It was a little, I don't know if it was oregano or and another little wood, and they would burn that. They would pulverize that, and it was sacrificed outside of the temple, give or take where was killed or crucified, or however you want to mention it. Yeshua was Yahweh, precisely in the very same place outside of the temple, in the Mount of the Olives. Right there was an altar to burn the red heifer, and it was precisely there where Yahweh was taken to, let's say, to be crucified. Maybe he was tied to a tree. Same thing. I'll say crucified so they understand it. Why? I've explained this already. Because Yeshua was a human body that could be discarded. That's difficult. I had not understood this when I gave Paraduma. I had not understood it. So then the body that Yahweh took, it was a body that he would not ever again use, ever again. That is why he talked to us. He talked to us about transfiguration. He made us understand many things. But that human body, he was not going to ever again utilize it, because it would go back unto the Father, and that thing that he was going back into the Father meant that he would go back to being the Elohim with his original body. So then if we do not compare that symbol of the red heifer that you had to burn entirely, make it turn into ashes, and with those ashes you would purify everything, with the ashes per se of the Mashiach of 2,000 years ago, He purified all that were doomed to death due to the law, due to the Torah that he himself had given. But that red heifer does not again resurrect. That red heifer will never again see it. That body of the Mashiach of Yahweh no longer exists. We're never ever going to see it. And the Christians have the hope of the body, and it doesn't exist. It no longer exists. The only God that there was took a human body, and he did everything which he thought that was necessary to do. It was his design, his creation, was necessary to do what he wanted to do, mind you, because he's the creator. Who's going to tell him anything? Nobody can tell him, you have to follow. No, he would follow what he had designed, of course. He places the rules, whatever rules he wants, so that everything that he did were under his own rules. And so then, when that work ended, he disappeared. And you never again saw him. That body he utilized, no one will ever again see it. Why? Because it disappeared. And I'm not even sure if he burned it, just like the red heifer, because it's a human body that he will no longer use ever again. Even, it was kind of ugly. The Bible says it in Isaiah 53. It says that it was not very pretty. It was not very appealing in the eyes of humans. Let's look up what it says in Isaiah 53. Isaiah 53 says, so then everything that I'm teaching today, how would you know it? It says, surely he took our sicknesses and he suffered our pains, and we had him grieved. It was before that. Here, number 2. For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant and as a root out of the dry ground. He hath no form nor comeliness. There it is. He was not a guy that looked great like I do. He was not a beautiful guy like I am. No. And you have to make it him. Maybe he was ugly like a fucking bitch, because he would not have added this in the Bible. Some guy with blue eyes, he didn't look pretty at all, because the guy must have said, if I make myself pretty, they're going to accept me because I look pretty. Just look at Absalom. He didn't look cute at all whatsoever. He was not cute like I look. None whatsoever. None whatsoever. No. He was ugly. I'm not going to mention it. He was uglier than anyone that you can imagine, because the Bible says he didn't have any beauty. If the Bible says that he had no beauty, it means he was ugly. The son of a bitch was. He looked ugly. Exactly. And you say, and this guy, he's the son of whom? Because he was unpleasing. The Bible says, I don't say it. I never saw it. No, I don't say it. The guy was unpleasing in the face. He wasn't pretty. People are going to say, they're going to look at him and say, but this guy's the Mashiach. Wow. He speaks well. No one speaks like he does. But ugly. You laugh, but that's what the Bible says. So then what did he do with that body? He's going to burn it. It is logical. The most logical of the right of the red heifer of the paraduma is to burn that body. That's it. He used it. It made its function. They didn't have to accept it due to its beauty, but the mission that it had, he as Yahweh, and then he discards that body. And that's it. It's over. And we no longer see him again, nor will we ever see him again, nor that he appeared to anyone again, and no one can ever see him again, because now he's Elohim like always. Absolutely. Like he always was. Absolutely. So then when the world sees him, they're going to have to be prepared to see him the way he is. We don't even know how he is. We know that he looks like the human race, but in turn, he has both genders, whether we like it or not. Because it's man and woman, he made him in his likeness. In his likeness, he created man and woman in his likeness. So then, it is something which does not enter into our mind what he looks like. Maybe he looks a lot more of a face of a woman, maybe in between, something that we look at and we have to ask ourselves, you know that there are people that say, is this a man or a woman? Either they're too pretty, it's a guy that looks too pretty with long hair, and you don't know what the guy is. Like unisex, like universal, both sides. They're pretty cute like that. You say, wow, he looks like an angel. We don't know what he looks like. He's never shown us, and these words are literal. No man has ever seen God, ever. Every time that he has shown himself, even to Adam and Eve and everything, it was a figure that he wanted to use. That's it. It's as simple as that. Or else he could never say that no one has ever seen God. And the scripture says it. And again, I'm going to read it just in case, because they're going to say, no, but Moses saw God face to face. Maybe he saw what God wanted for him to see face to face, of course. The way he wanted to show himself is face to face. But in John chapter 1 says, I'm not sure if I'm looking for it. I'm looking for it. God has never been seen by man. Number 18, 118 says, no man had seen God. That's how it is. Elohim, the creator, has never been seen by anyone. What they saw of him is what he wanted to show them. Whether if it looks like a donkey, a man, an angel, the angel of God, whatever. I mean, whatever he would want. But nobody ever saw him the way he really is. No one, God, the Elohim, the creator, has no one ever seen the only begotten Son, he himself, which is in the womb of the Father. He has made him be known. It's very clear. Every time he came to earth to speak with someone, he would take a human form that would look like whatever he wanted. That is why that human form that he took, he would call him the Son of God, the Angel of God, or whatever. So then, never has any man seen him. We will see him, but we haven't seen him. Very well. So then, the Christians have to renounce everything they have believed them about Christ. That love about Christ, that Christ saves them from sins, and they pray to Christ, and that Christ died for them, that Christ covers them with their blood, that Christ this, Christ that, and I eat the wafer of Christ and everything that has to do with Christ. When they see that Christ is not the one that shows up and claims to be the Mashiach, you know what they're going to say? There's only one thing that they're prepared to say. This is the Antichrist. The Christians, in whole, except for certain exceptions, will say, when the Mashiach is seen, this is not the Messiah that we're waiting for. This is not our Christ. Not even close. These are the Antichrist that was prophesied. That's what they're going to say. Exactly. It's all there. It's as clear as daylight. So they have any chance to accept them? No, none whatsoever. There's no chance to accept them. The Trinity. You have to delete the Trinity in order to accept the Mashiach. The Holy Rapture, they have to delete from their mind to accept the Mashiach. The second coming of Christ, you have to delete it from your mind. To go to heaven, to look at a group of angels, heavenly angels, because there's going to be angels. They're going to say, these are not angels. These are not angels, precisely. They're the angels from hell, but not the angels from heaven, exactly. And they're going to say, these is what the Bible says is the Antichrist. To change all this? Of course you can. Of course you can. I'm not saying that the Christians could not understand, but the time of the Christians to understand is now. And now the time is ending, or it ended already. If we were Christians, and we understood it, if Yahweh opens someone's mind, they can understand it, but it requires time. You cannot understand everything in a sudden moment, because you have to unenamor yourself from a concept, to hit your head up against the wall for it to hit, and to be enamored of a different concept that you can also not see, but you have to be enamored with it. So then it takes a long time, logic and study, and in the end of it all, there's no time. When the Messiah appears, he doesn't come to teach everything that they should have learned before and they couldn't learn. I don't even blame them, but rather they were not predestined to learn, period. So then there's no chance for them except for some exceptions that have woken up enough in order to mistrust that what they had believed was not just like that. It happened to many of you that you found the eternal truth because there were things that didn't make sense, and you had certain doubts, strong doubts about the established religion, whatever it might be, Christian, and you decided to look for something better. But if there's someone like that, at that time, for the Messiah to appear, which will be soon, maybe they have a chance of saying, yes, they have to kick the Bible, not because it's the Bible, but it's understanding of the Bible, their belief of the Bible. It's as if to say they have to kick it. And to top it off, the Christians are convinced that what they read is that way. If they read that it says Jesus sent them to be baptized in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, they see three. So then to the death, they keep text. It says that there are three right there. That is what happens with the interpretations. When you believe them, you make them one, and they can explain to you whatever they want with the Bible, and they believe it. How do you take them out of there? What's required is for Yahweh to give them time in some special situation to open their mind and to take those wrong concepts from there. You know what that cost? I say it's directly impossible right now in this day and age. Impossible, just like that. So then the Christians have no chance, except for some very few exceptions of accepting the human Christ. They're going to say, no, they're the Antichrist. That's it, it's over. The Muslims. Let's move on to the Muslims now. The Muslims, they're waiting for Jesus. But a Jesus of 2,000 years ago that and maybe a human prophet. So then I believe that by having a doctrine that's very different to that of the Jews, and by having a concept that's very different to that of the Jews, then I believe that they also have no chance. Just like that, none. Except for some exception here and there, none. I don't see for the Muslims to have any chance for the group to appear and say, look, we're the Mashiach, and for them to say, oh, okay, we were waiting for you. No, not that either, not that either. So then another group, and this is to try to understand, okay, I'm not even condemning them or saving them, none whatsoever. In my understanding, I believe that in a future event, it could not happen. The Muslims will not accept this under any circumstances. None whatsoever. Absolutely none. I was thinking about the Muslims. Everything that I said last Shabbat. I was watching the game of the sub-17, the World Cup of the sub-17 that is being played in Indonesia, where we beat by dancing 3-0 over Brazil. A brutal dance. They lost both classics in the Maracanã, and this one was a dance. In the major, it was a war, but here it was a dance. But I'm not referring to that. It's just a side note. They were speaking, if you look at the figures in Indonesia, and you look at the women, many of them, because other ones went to go look at the game, and they're covered. You know what group they belong to. And I stopped to think all this whole week, why they have such This religion, how can they conquer a lot and have such success? But they don't have a lot of success in Japheth. You know that? How many Muslim countries, white ones, did you know of? No. In Japheth, they don't have no success. In Cam, they embrace it. They embrace Islam, everything that is Cam. And also, a little bit per se, a little bit in what is Shem. Because they are Shem. That's what happens. Originally, it's a Semite race. So then in certain Semites, they're accepted. But I stopped to think why, for what reason they have such an accepting these guys do. Well, it is contrary to everything which the world offers. Did you know that? I believe that the only temptation of male men of accepting Islam is this one. That they teach you, even if they say no, the rest, they teach you that women are inferior to men. They teach you to cover her, for her to shut up. And depending on whatever branch, they even put something and cover their mouth, like shut up. So then the husband says, "What does religion make me submit the woman?" And I can even strike her if she. Yeah, you can strike her if she doesn't listen to you. I don't have to be listening to her or anything. No. She is repressed. And what if I want to have another one? Yeah, you can have another one. My woman? No, she can't say anything. She's just there to bear my children, and I can have as many as I want. And you're going to dominate her, and the house belongs to the man. The world belongs to the man. And it's just like I kind of like this religion. I'm kind of liking it because it makes me feel more like a man. I am a man, and women very repressed. I think that it's repressed in it takes the machismo of Cam and the machismo of Shem, and it makes them feel their dominion of the stepping over a woman. There's no other explanation, because that whole religion is complete dog shit. There's no other word for me. Everything I look at a woman covered and it's nauseous, just like that. It's nauseous. I look at the little girls covered and it's nauseous. How do the women have to dress? It is nauseous. How the men get together all together? It's nauseous. It's all nauseous. Like I told you, they are nauseous in every aspect. There's no way for me to look at something positive. Zero positive. It's all negative. But the success is in crushing the woman. And how do men love to crush the woman, to cover her, to shut her up, and to have all the ones that he wants, for no one to tell him anything. And if she rebels, to punish her even. It is machismo to the extreme, that religion. Just like that, machismo to the extreme. I believe that that is where the success is. But who are they going to seduce with the law? To top it off with the law, in Hebrew means curse. Allah in Hebrew means a curse. Let's see if you can help me to demonstrate this, because I don't remember now. Because I had it in some preaching, an old one. What was the word in Hebrew that meant Allah? A little bit. I'll have to look it up. If somebody has it, can you tell me that? If somebody tells me that, can you tell me that? But let us look up in the Bible curse very quickly. In this one, I'm gonna need the word either way. Okay. Curse. Curse. We'll start to bring that under my curse. Let's look. You can see curse. Let's see if this is the word. You can. Somebody writes it there. Can you tell me? It is not this one. It is the other one.
¿Qué número? Yo quiero saber el número de Strong. H423.
H423. Okay. Just hold on a moment.
Ok, nos vamos a
Okay, now we go to H,
H4.
H4.
Sí, sí, sí.
Yes, yes, yes.
H4.
H4, what did you say?
H4.
H4, 2, 3. I was looking for 4. H4,
433, digamos.
433.
H4, 2, 3.
H4, 2, 3.
H4, a ver si-
H4, let's see.
Ok. Sí.
Yes, Allah. Allah, exactly. Like the way they write it, Allah. It means execration, judgment, to protest, and also a curse. It means many things, but it could clearly mean a curse. A curse. Very well. So then, what was I speaking about? That whole religion is a curse. Directly like that. Just like that. Absolutely a curse. Allah. A complete curse. What that religion brings. Could they accept the Mashiach filled with women? Apparently not. Apparently not. I don't think so. They're not prepared. These guys are not prepared for that. So let's say, second group, the Muslims, they could not accept that. Now let's go to the pagans. And the pagans, it's a very wide group. You could have atheists and believe in anything. Pagans, worshippers of Buddha, of the ascended gods, and a whole quantity of things that we could say of the New Age, blah, 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 all kinds of things. Oh, that they believe in a God and they don't know who it is. Here you have flat earthers. You have flat earthers here. You have people that are against the pharmakeia, but they don't believe in any religion and they hate all the religions. They see him as actually a lie. That is what I call the pagans. They enter into that group. Do the pagans have a chance of accepting the Mashiach? I'll tell you, greatly chances. Absolute chances. Why? Because they're a group that is open, that don't believe the system, they don't believe the religions, but when they see something different, they're going to say, well, this is better than everything we've seen before. This has a greater chance, but too many chances. I said, not everyone, but I'm saying a lot of chances, just like that. Almost the majority, they have a chance of accepting and embracing the concept and saying, but we weren't waiting for them, but we didn't know what we were waiting for, but that's exactly that, because I'm already sick and tired by this world. And I don't believe any religion. I believe in something that gives me hope, that I really see it as true. And to top it off, this Mashiach is flat earther. Oh no, he already won me with that. And to top it off, he's against the pharmakeia. Oh, he won me over with that. So then they have enormous chances. I mean, those could be the ones that accept. As many. So then that's it. It's over. Christian, no chance. The wild donkeys, no chance. The pagans, they have all the chance. And there's another group, Judaism. What about Judaism? What about Judaism? Well, Judaism is a group that ever since they were formed, and they gave him the Tanakh, they're waiting for the Mashiach. They're waiting for him every day, the Mashiach. And as the years pass, the different Mashiachs have been appearing in different forms, different ideas. And when one would accept, they would accept him. And they would fail. And they would take him to death or to deceive. But when a form of Mashiach would appear, in their desperation of trying to fulfill the prophecy, because they know that a Mashiach has to come, they embrace the idea that that's the Mashiach and they accept them, and they're wrong. The Mashiach came, I cannot say the true one, but I could say the Mashiach, the substitute, which was Yahweh, and he used a body of a Mashiach. And the Jews, many of them accepted him. We can't say they didn't accept him. Many accepted him. In fact, the only ones that accepted him were because it was destined for the Jews. It was the Jews, in fact. Many of thousands wanted him as a king or not. That Yeshua said, no, it's not convenient, and he left. You can abandon these people like that? Yeah, let them go home. But I cannot accept for them to proclaim me a Messiah. No, there was no form. That is not the way. I didn't come to do that. I came to do something else. But the Jews were desirous. And Caiaphas, the whole Sanhedrin, I can assure you that you're not going to hear this or read this, but they were desirous for the Messiah to come. Of course. I cannot see him as false men and deceiving men that they saw Messiah, they wanted to annul him. I don't see him as that. Just like that. I don't see him as that. It could have happened, but I don't see it that way. I see it that they saw that Messiah did not fulfill the conditions and the prophecies and the attributes that he had to have. And that is true. They read all the messianic prophecies and they say, this is not the Messiah. When the Messiah is to come, the Messiah has to bring down our enemies. This one, none whatsoever. The Messiah has to be a warrior man. This one, none. So then how could this be the Messiah if he does not fulfill the conditions and the attributes, the specified attributions in the prophecy? It cannot be, and they were right. Because the attributes of the Messiah that they would read in Isaiah, they were not the ones that Yeshua would show. Yeshua would show other attributes of a different Messiah that had to fulfill what he came to do, but it was not the Messiah. It was not. It was not. That's what they said. If it was the Messiah, but it was not the Messiah. They said, look, he doesn't fulfill the attributes, so then we cannot accept him no matter the miracles he does. Nothing matters. We cannot accept him. And they were right in not accepting him as a Messiah. Because Yahweh came concealed, and to top it off, they did not accept him. Because he concealed their eyes so that they do not see. This is perfectly well. I've read it to you thousands of times. I'm going to conceal them and blind them, that by seeing them, they won't see me. I'm going to make them blind so that by hearing, they won't hear. And I will place a heart filled with fat. I will fatten their heart. That's what it says. Just a symbolic way of saying they're not going to be able to understand anything. Because if they were to understand something, if they were able to see or hear directly, they would accept me. So then what I'm doing is for them not to see, for them not to hear, and not understand. So that they don't accept me as a Mashiach. So that I don't save them. So they don't accept me as a Mashiach because I don't have to accept them as a Mashiach. So then, throughout all these years, the people of Israel, whether they're Orthodox or give or take religious, they're waiting for the Messiah. It has been prophesied, and they understand this clearly, that it is close to the fulfillment of the 6,000 years. The Messiah has to appear because it's the main prophecy of theirs. Rebbe Schneerson, you've seen pictures or videos. Every time he spoke, they would end up singing, we want Moshiach now. We want the Messiah now. But there's no reason why he should appear there. He doesn't have to appear there. When he appears, the form in which he appears is going to surprise us, but they all agree that we're going to understand, because we are Jews, that that's the Messiah. We're going to understand it. And the Messiah comes to explain the Torah. In other words, they believe that they know everything because they're scholars, but they say that when the Messiah shall come, he'll make us understand the Torah. And okay, in all those, the Torah, they'll say, fuck it off. They'll be like, what? Fuck it off to hell, the Torah. I am above the Torah. I am the Torah. Just imagine. But if they get to understand everything that's prophesied by themselves, what are the chances that the Jews, the Israelites, or Israelites, all that prophets the Jewish profession to understand? I would say very high. Very high. The thing is that they recognize that it's the Mashiach and that Yahweh, if He allows them to see Him, it is the greatest group, even greater than the pagans of all the groups, the one that is predisposed to find a human Messiah that was born with them. They, on the permanent basis, they said, we know that the Messiah could have been born, and Elohim, or Hashem, is forming him, so that when He shows him, we will understand. They are waiting for a human Messiah. It's the only group that is waiting for a human Messiah. And they were waiting for them throughout the centuries. And when the Messiah comes, He'll have the power that they see, and they're going to recognize Him. So then, the chances of them accepting are so high. The chances that the beast, or those that are part, when I say the beast, I'm referring to the political government. But the Jewish religion, obviously, if a Messiah shows up that has the whole Jewish aura, of course, that understands what a menorah is, that understands that the most basic day of Yahweh is not the Shabbat, not looking for Sunday like the Christians, that understand that Yahweh or Hashem is only one person, not a trinity, obviously, they are ready to accept the Mashiach, and they don't even know how He'll come, but they're ready. That is my understanding of everything that I've heard from them and read, that is the most apt grouped, and that you least expect it, but when it shows up, they'll recognize Him. Some will recognize Trump as the Messiah. Just imagine that. In their desperation, they said, in Trump, I've heard them, we're talking about rabbis here, of saying Trump was anointed as a Messiah because he gave us back Jerusalem, or at least the authority of calling ourselves the capital of Jerusalem. Just with that alone, he almost won the title of a Messiah. And when he gave him the Golem Heights, or stole them from them, doesn't matter. He stole them just like that. But they said, wow, we're going to give him a name to be called Trump City. Yeah, tell the truth. This is the Messiah. They even made a coin that would show the face of Cyrus and the face of Trump, because Cyrus is a Messiah, and the Bible says so. Cyrus, my Messiah. And they said, it said it clearly. And why Cyrus? Because he destroyed Babylon and also gave the command to reconstruct Jerusalem. So then, they compared Trump with someone that is a Mashiach, because Cyrus was a Mashiach. They recognized that Cyrus is a Mashiach. And they said, Trump has to be a Mashiach. We don't know if he's the Mashiach, but he is a Mashiach for sure. Just imagine then when the true Mashiach appears, and that has power. I mean, to have something different to the people. I don't know how it'll be, because I don't know how it'll be, but to be different. What is the group that has the greater chance of accepting him? The group waiting for him, precisely. A man? We don't know that it's a group, but maybe it sees him like a leader and followers. I don't know how they see it, how Yahweh makes them see it, but it's what they're waiting for. Nothing different to what they're waiting for. They're waiting for precisely that. And for them to come explain the Torah to them, something that we could explain clearly. Absolutely, we can explain the Torah. All the things they don't understand, we'll explain everything. And it has to be something they understand. Of course, they have to understand all the Jewish things. They have to have the capacity of mentioning Yahweh. They can't mention him because they're lower level. They understand that it's Hashem. the name of God is very clear, but the Mashiach, I could imagine if he mentions him like he's mentioned, he'll say, wow, this guy is the one, because he even knows how to mention him. And if Yahweh gives him that Mashiach, which should give him the power of speaking Hebrew, native, authentic Hebrew, not learned, but rather a Hebrew that's absolutely majestic, even better than theirs, because theirs is very made up. They made up some words. A Hebrew that has the modern, ancient Hebrew, just that alone would make it for them to have 100% accepting. You already know, they speak in Hebrew. They will accept it 100%. I said 100%. It's part of the eternal truth. I know what I'm telling you. I know what it is. So then, I don't know what will happen. I know what would happen if that would happen. I don't know what will happen. I'm just saying, I know that would happen if I were to speak in Hebrew, and not a Hebrew that is learned. No, from as a maternal tongue. And since the language that I have, what fucking wise men will argue with me? They're imbeciles. There's no way for them to argue with me. You know, some wise men in the Talmud, you know where he can shove that Talmud with all the volumes. If I had their native tongue in Hebrew, here we would have, thousands. And they would be from our group. So I'll answer you. The Christians, no chance. None whatsoever. It's contrary to all the beliefs. They are not waiting for that, but they're waiting for an Antichrist, and they're saying, this is what we're waiting for, the Antichrist. The Muslims, they have no chance. Out. The pagans, I love them. They're ready to learn, and they have an open mind. They're ready to accept what salvation is. And the Jews are the ones that are waiting for precisely this. That's the word. Simple as that. Simple as that. It's as simple as that. And do you know why we understand what we understand? Do you know why we understand what we understand? Thanks to the path that Yahweh made us take. Sometimes I've asked myself and questioned myself why we have been changing, for example, going to the Torah to try to fulfill every one of its norms, and for that time to abandon Paul and say, this guy is a traitor of the Torah, and to discard him entirely. Notice that is tragic. To declare that Paul is the apostle of Azazel, and that's not a bad title. Or not? Is that a bad title? It's a good title. Paul, the apostle of Azazel. We could call him that. What is it? Or is it the line apostle? Oh, Paul, the line apostle. We would call him the apostle of Azazel. Okay. Paul, the line apostle. Didn't you know that? If I would turn time back in my mind, I would say I would never have left Paul. Of course not. Because in order to leave and then take him back again, you understand? I would never have left Paul. But I would question myself, why did we leave him? There has to be a reason. There has to be a reason in the mind to close a door for something so as to be able to place everything in darkness, per se, and to visualize a light that with the light of Paul we could never see, ever. It's good what I just said, right? There are lights that are so small but brutal, but the light, if it's all open, you don't see it. You have to close everything, and for your eyes to be used directly to no light there, in order to visualize something. Or else, if there's light, you don't see it. Okay. That's what happened to us. Did you know that if we had not, now I don't understand why, if we had not abandoned Paul, and we had not turned towards the Torah so much in turning back, if we had not turned back to the Torah so much, they even called it re-Torads, and instead of that, abandoned Paul and closed that door, never would we have understood, not even grasped the concept of Yahweh Had. Ever. Ever. When we went back to the Torah, we closed the door on Paul. The Gospels were left there, not in doubt, but kind of like trembling Hebrews. We were holding them like that, from a thread to see if we would kick it or not. Acts of the Apostles, we thought it was laughable. It's still laughable, the things that they say that Yahweh made them do, still. But when that whole door was closed, and we said it's true, Paul is a fake apostle, we have to go back to the Torah. That was when I was able to understand and make you understand that there was no Father and a Son. That they were not two, but rather it was one. Before we would say, not three or one, it's two or two. But in order to understand that there was no Father and a Son, and that God had not had a Son in heaven, it was a Son, we had to close a door, which was Paul, to shut that light on, and to look by yourself in the Torah, as a Jew would see. That is why Yahweh made us go back to the roots, to what the Jews have. And thanks to that we learned that Yahweh is only one. It's not the Christian stupidity, which is a trinity, or not even two. But not just that it helped us with that. It taught us to interpret in a different way the Torah. And we got to clearly understand, and in the appropriate time, to the conclusion that the Messiah was not a divine being born in heaven. That the Messiah that was to come has to be born on earth and of this time. That is a thought that's 100% Jewish. It is contrary to Christianity. The Jews teach that the Messiah is born here, and it's a common man, and that he receives the seven spirits of Yahweh. They understand that clearly, extremely clearly. We hadn't had that. We still were waiting for a Christ. We wanted to go to Rome to be beheaded. Any stupid shit. Then Paul came. We forgot about all that shit. But it was fundamental, essential, to take Paul out and to look at the Bible as authentic Jews in order to understand the beauty that the Christians cannot see, that they could never see. That's what the Messianics could never see it. Because the Messianic, they are Christians that want to become Jewish and make Judaism understand that Jesus is the Messiah. Of course, they're going to bounce from there, the stupid idiots, because it's even worse. Either you're Christian or you're Jew. And the Messianic are the worst dog shit there is, because it's symbiosis. And they believe that they are Jewish, but they accept the Christ of 2,000 years ago, and they think that Christ will come back for them. So then they're more Christians than the fucking bitch that bore them that they even think. They're extremely Christians, but they think they're Jewish. The thing is that salvation comes of the Jews. And the eternal truth is a movement that's entirely Jewish. Whether you like it or not, it's 100% Jewish. It's very far away from Christianity, because it's not Christianity. It's also not Messianism. Of course not. It is Judaism. The difference is that while the other group is waiting for the Mashiach, this group knows who the Mashiach is. It's a great difference. But that's why the Jews, did they have a chance? They are the most appropriate, the most apt. That is why, with that in mind, on what side of the conflict are we? Just imagine. Okay, very well. Absolutely well. There's something else. I want to leave this very clearly. Why Yahweh, the eternal truth, made us walk with the Torah, made us lead Paul, made us understand YHWH, made us accept Paul again. And that's where we comprehended the concept of the messianic, of the true Messiah. Marvelous. Not just that. There's another correlation that I don't know if I'll explain it well. I don't know if it'll be understood even, but when Yahweh came to earth, he came in the concept of a Messiah, and he came to a people that was waiting for the Messiah, but he came in a different way than the one they were waiting for. That's why he was rejected. And I comprehended, because up until today it says, but that Jesus was not the Messiah because he does not fulfill the requirements. Okay, that's fine. But I want you to understand this if you can. Within the only ones that had the scriptures, the Messiah came that would talk about the scriptures. He came to his own, and his own did not accept him. Just like John 1:11-12 says, he came unto his own, and his own did not receive him. Yet unto all whom received him, those who believe in his name, he gave them the power to be called sons of God. Wow. Was that fulfilled? Yes, it was fulfilled. But the true fulfillment is now. Because when the Messiah come, these words shall be fulfilled 100%. Why? Because he'll come to his own. And his own are now even greater. What am I trying to say with this? Okay, let's go back. When Yahweh came unto the Jews, the only ones that were waiting for a Messiah were the Jews. It was the people of the book. So he came there. They didn't accept him. Why? Because he didn't come in the form that they waited for him, expected him to come. Perfect. That was prophesied. What does that have to do with the end of times? Because it's a figure of the end of times. Now, who's waiting for a Messiah? Now, I'll take the Jews out, because the people of the book, it's not that they're more important than the Jews, none whatsoever, but it is by majority. So then, the people of the book are the Christians, because Yahweh came and he formed that religion. He took the Talmud out of the Jews and he gave it to Rome. From that moment on, Rome was left with the biblical teaching. Rome was left with the charge of spreading out the truth and for it to flourish throughout the word, throughout the earth, and not just the Tanakh, but all entirely unto all the world. That was not done by the Jews. So then, who are now the people of Yahweh? I have to say it, are the Christians, who are within, the Jews are within that. I want you to understand what I'm saying. It is the Jews. And the Jews are already a part of the Christians under that optic. That's why, let's see if you can understand that the Christians and the Jews are two different groups. But under the optic of the Creator, it says, well, I gave him the Tanakh to the Jews. Now I understand the Tanakh and I do the whole New Testament. I give the Talmud unto Rome, and now the people that I'm forming, well, it's called Christian. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, well, fine. Moving on. That is when it is fulfilled, the prophecy once again. Because everything that Yahweh did under Yeshua is just a figure of the Mashiach. Then the Mashiach comes unto his own. And who are his own? If you understood what I said. The Christians! Because who are waiting also, aside from the Jews, who are as the majority waiting for, it says that the religion, the Jewish religion is 0.02, right? And the Christians are 30-something%. So then the people of the Bible, the people of the book, are the Christians now. So then they're waiting for the Messiah in their different ways that they're waiting for. But the Messiah will come to them. It's not that they discard him, he'll come to him. But what will happen? What it says right there. Because what John says and everything that talks about Yeshua is only a figure of the Messiah. Everything that Yeshua did, always in my name, in the name of the Father, is just a figure of the Messiah. I've said it many times. Everything that Yeshua did, and this one especially, starts this way. He came into his own. What is his own? The Christians. The Christians. The Messiah will come into the Christians, but of course, he's not going to go to Jerusalem and say, you're my... No. He'll come into the Christians. And the Christians will not receive him. And that, it says it clearly. The Christian, he came in, I'll translate it. He came into his own, and his own did not receive him. He came into the Christians, and the Christians did not receive him. But unto all who did receive him, or who will receive him, those who believe in his name, in the name of whom? Of the Messiah, he gave them power to be called sons of God. That's where it enters clearly. The Christians will not accept him. They're the ones that in their majority are waiting for him. But he'll come in a different way, just like what happened to the Jews, in a different way than what they expected and they believed in. Differently. So he came into his own, and his own did not accept him. And they won't accept him, but of course they won't accept him. They're going to say, we got to kill this guy. That's the way it says. It's an antichrist. Just like the Jews from old, and now the Jews are going to say, wait, hold on. I think this guy is the true one, okay? This is the one that we're waiting for. And the pagans are going to say, this doesn't, I mean, this looks great. We're tired of these lying governments. Of course we like them. So then that's where it's fulfilled. He came into his own. His own did not receive him. But unto all who believe that he's the Messiah, he gives them power to be called sons of God. To be sons of God is the salvation of living on this earth during the millennium. That is the salvation. That is what it is to be son of God in this concept. So then you will see how even that prophecy that he came into his own, and his own did not receive him, will be fulfilled. Okay, moving on. I forgot to present to you and thank for some cookies that were sent to us by Francisco and Ruth. Francisco and Ruth, delicious cookies. And Grace. Now we're going to add Grace. She must have worked. Maybe she worked. So many thanks, Francisco, Ruth, and Grace, for these so delicious. These are the ones that are left. These so delicious, huge cookies. I'm saying they're terrible, huge cookies. I mean, not little tiny. These are huge, terrible, terribly humongous. Very delicious. They have the precise humidity and moistness. I like them. Many, many thanks. Also give us like if you like what you've just heard, and also comment later. Let's check here. These are concepts that are sometimes difficult to understand. That's why you have to hear this subject many times so you'll comprehend what I'm just saying. How they're all fulfilled. How everything that Yahweh did as a Messiah is kind of like a guide of what the Messiah at the end of times would happen exactly. And what he would say and all the rest. Very well. Where are we here? Okay, let's go here. Let's see how many likes we've got. There are fewer likes than ones watching. Even every time we have fewer people watching, and it's less acceptable. Fewer people watch. 302 people watching. 281 likes. So then all those that have not given us a like and you're watching, give us a like, please. And if you have another account, also. Very well. Did it go up? It's going up. It's stuck. Okay, also remember to comment. I thank you. I thank you for all the comments. They're rather fantastic, and I enjoy reading your comments.
And their name, by the way, speaking about the previous subject, will have a different name.
Which one?
The God of all of the earth, that is.
The God of all the earth. The eternal truth will be a special people, of course. Even what the Mashiach wants to change will change, because the Mashiach is God of the earth. Yesterday, not yesterday, but last chapter I said, once Yahweh gives him the property to the owner, which is the Mashiach, does whatever he wants. If he says, this is no longer called Jerusalem, it won't be called Jerusalem. And it's not called, I don't know, however you want to name it. I was going to say name. I'm not. However he wants to name it, that's the way the capital is. Call it LVE City. LVE City, and that's the way it'll be called. It'll be left like that forever. It's they're the owners. If Yahweh expects to give the Mashiach the ownership of the earth, an inheritance, and then to tell him what he has to do, the Mashiach will say, you know what, then grab this earth and you got it, shove them where the sun don't shine. tell Yahweh that. Yes, to Yahweh, shove it there. Where the sun don't shine, that's where the earth goes. Because if you're going to give me something, it is mine, and I'll do whatever I want. If I want to destroy it all, I'll destroy it. You gave it to me, right? Or else don't give it to me, or else we're still slaves. And then you rule. If you give it to me, and you're mine, in my property, I do whatever the fuck I want. It's as simple as that. You're not going to come and tell me what I have to do. Now, if we get along like husband and wife, then yes, I could accept suggestions. I'll ask you, and what's convenient? Maybe you say, well, with my wisdom, so many years along, it's convenient to do this. That's fine. But that the owner of the earth is me, the Messiah will say. That is clear. And if I want to not call it Jerusalem, then fuck it off with Jerusalem. We'll call it LVE City. LVE City. That's it. It's over. And if we want to call it Holy Maria of Buenos Aires, we'll call it the Holy Mary of Buenos Aires. However they want to call it. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. That's fine. I want to leave that very clear. A concept that the Christians cannot even handle because it's all about God. God will decide it all. And they're slaves, eternal slaves of God. And all day they'll be worshiping God in their mind. In their mind and in their prophecy interpreted by them. Very well. Now, let's go into, and already, it's been an hour and 46, with that question, who has more chance of salvation? It's very good. It's absolutely good. We enter again into Zephaniah. What does Zephaniah mean? Did I say Haggai? No, Zephaniah. No, Zephaniah. What does Zephaniah mean? Zephaniah means, I've already told you, Zephaniah. And Zephaniah means Yah has concealed. It is concealed by Yah. The whole Bible is concealed by Yah. We know this. So then the whole book of Zephaniah, or Zephaniah, is a book that is concealed. No matter if they tried to read the whole world, they won't understand it because it's concealed. The very name is telling you. It is called What God Hath Concealed. What Yahweh hath concealed. But that I made this be left clear for the whole world. What the book of Zephaniah speaks has never been fulfilled because it only speaks about the day of the wrath of Yahweh. Under that concept, and under that prophetic time, we shall read the book which we had already started to read, but we'll read it once again. We enter into Zephaniah chapter 1. It says, Word of Yahweh which came into Zephaniah, what Yahweh had concealed, son of Cush, and Hezekiah, and Amariah of Josiah, the son of Amon, king of Judah. I will utterly consume. There it is. A prophecy concealed was not for their time, but for the end of time. I will utterly consume all things from off the land, saith Yahweh. I will consume man and beast. I will consume the fowls of the heaven, and the fishes of the sea, and the stumbling blocks with the wicked, and I will cut off men from off the land, saith Yahweh. I will also stretch out mine hand upon Judah. Okay, right there. One more thing. If I had not spoken about this, about who has a chance of finding out, of accepting the Mashiach, in your comments, I want you to all comment. That's why you're used to commenting. If you don't comment now, how the fuck are you going to be kings? If you don't comment now, how the fuck are you going to be judges? If you don't comment now, how the fuck are you going to instruct? I could not understand. How could you, if you can't even write 2 lines, what if you have to destroy? Maybe you don't comment because you're not judges. Maybe you don't comment because you're not kings. So then, you're not going to ever be. But the kings, the judges, comment. And I ask you now to have an idea, because you don't know what the fuck you commented. I give you ideas. The idea is, how many had thought that what was the most apt group to receive the Son of Man, the Mashiach, the true one? Had you stopped to think about that? And if you had stopped to think about that, who did you think would be the most correct group? No, not correct. The most appropriate one and the most chances of accepting it. Last time I asked you for you to comment if you had seen the prophecy of Palestine with Israel in that way, and most of you had seen it, and from the other side, they were supporting the ass men. But now you've understood how the prophecy is. And I ask you, how many had seen that the most appropriate group to receive the Mashiach are the Jews? Very well. Now, moving on. I already talked about it before, right? Yeah, I don't think so. Had I talked about it already? Comment either way. You had already spoken it. Okay, 4. And also stretch out mine hand upon Judah and upon all the inhabitants of Jerusalem. That is clear. Yahweh says that he shall extend his hand upon Judah and upon all the inhabitants of Jerusalem. It is not a hand of salvation, but a hand of purification. And I shall exterminate from this place the rests of Baal. Exactly. Where's Baal? And everything they believe in. They're Baalic. One thing is that they speak about, or they accept, and they practice a religion filled with religions that urgently needs a Mashiach to teach them how to practice that religion. They practice with the religion they practice is all great, but not with all the rites that they do. That is the problem. They need a Mashiach to guide them. And it's good day in the day of rest, and the feast, and the calendar. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. They need a Mashiach, exactly. It's clear. But they have to purify them, not to destroy them. You have to purify them. That is what the scripture says. It says, and I shall exterminate from this place the remnants of Judah, from Judah, of Baal, which are in the Talmud, in Machalah, in the whole Kabbalah, and all that. I will cut off the remnant of Baal from this place, and the name of the Chemarims with the priests. Of course, there will be people that will not want to accept it. You have to be exterminated by Yahweh. And them that worship the hosts of heaven upon the housetops, and them that worship and that swear by Yahweh, and that swear by Melcham, and them that are turned back from Yahweh, and those that have not sought Yahweh, nor inquired for it. In other words, there comes a cleansing in Judah. Hold thy peace in the presence of Yahweh the Lord, for the day of the Lord is nigh. All this is a part of the end. For Yahweh hath prepared a sacrifice. He had bid his guests. It's already starting, but it'll be brutal, the sacrifice. It's a way of saying it. There will be death by millions upon millions. 2/3 have to die of the earth. And he has prepared a sacrifice for his guest. And in the day of the sacrifice of Yahweh, I shall punish the princes, the king's children, and all such as are clothed with strange apparel. In the same day also will I punish all those that leap on the threshold, which filled their masters' houses with violence and deceit. I've explained that already, I believe, in the first part of this. I want to advance a little bit. I've explained that already. These are all the false teachings and all that. But here it starts with a word that is important. That it's not theft, but violence. Zephaniah 1:9 in the Spanish DHH, very well translated, it says, Thou shalt also punish on that day those that jump upon the housetops, and that fill with violence and deceit the houses of their master. Violence! And violence in Hebrew is age 2555, and it is pronounced as Hamas. That is violence. Hamas. So then, we've started in Zephaniah in the day of the Lord with a secret per se concealed that there's something was called Hamas. That is violence. There's violence. Hamas. And not just does it mean violence, Hamas does, but It is violence by implication, hurt, evil, grievance, cruelty, to leave naked, to do iniquity, injury, injurious, injustice, evil, precisely, and not by chance, as the government of Palestine, the legal government, was Hamas, which started, formed by Israel and the U.S., that doesn't matter. If it was formed by the U.S. and Israel, somebody had to form it, so that the prophecy is fulfilled. That's the way it is. So then, that little group formed, maybe by the U.S., then got out of control or was made up by the U.S., that doesn't matter. But it got to be a terrorist group, but not conformed with that. It got to the government of Gaza. So in Palestine, it's a dual government. Those in the West Bank have a president, and those that are in Gaza have another president. And between the two, they don't get along because they were divided. Because it's everybody against everyone. Just like the Asman, they're all against everyone. They all fight against each other. So then, the very same one, Gaza, is independent from Palestine. I don't know if it was because of, but it went up into the government of their country. Hamas stopped being a movement of terrorists per se, illegal per se, and it got to be legally and officially the government of Gaza. And if legally it is the government of Gaza, Palestine, if someone from Palestine bombs you, that is the name of the government that is doing it. It's no longer, it can no longer, I want you to understand something, because to tell the truth, human injustice is great, and also the human hypocrisy. It's even greater, just like that. Am I more afraid of idiots, stupid idiots? I am more afraid of more stupid idiots and wickedness. An evil man can change. You made him see things, you can transform him. But a stupid man, you can never transform ever, because he'll still be a stupid idiot. There's no way of making him wise, because he's a stupid idiot. But an evil man, you can make him a good man. And a bad man does things knowing that he's doing evil, but he does it due to advantage. But a stupid man, it's even more dangerous, because he does things thinking he's doing good, and he's doing bad things, the stupid things. So then it's a lot more dangerous. Human stupidity is than human wickedness. What was I saying? Okay, I was saying that. No, I have to go back to exactly what I said before that. That's what I was saying. That if a government attacks you in hypocrisy, if a government attacks you, you no longer fight with the soldiers of the government. You're going to go up against everyone, starting with the hospitals. It's evident. Human hypocrisy is like this. In the Second World War, everything that happened, no matter in the analysis, but when England would bomb and the US would bomb, you think they would bomb the military centers only? They would bomb the cities, the families, the people. Though they wanted to kill the greatest majority of humans. That's the way it is when they supposedly bombed. And I doubt everything. When they supposedly bombed in Nagasaki and Hiroshima, nuclear bombs, they were trying to hit a military center or everything they could kill. Kids, women, everything. Okay. If the U.S., when they're trying to immobilize the people and they say, we did it to avoid a greater evil, because that's how we would stop Japan. Yeah, they said yes, yes, yes. Obviously, we killed, and they were destined to kill women, men, and everything. But we did it to a greater good. And I tell you, to disintegrate the strip is for the greater good. No, that Netanyahu, in a hospital, he's killing children and women. How do you think that wars do? The soldiers advance only those that are dressed in military clothing. They have to kill everything. But the human hypocrisy is how inhumane. How inhumane are they? But they've always killed the whole population. It's a war. It's as horrible as it is, as ugly as it is, and not incomprehensible as it is. They don't kill military men. They kill everything. Just like that. They kill everything. Indiscriminately. It's not that Israel are sons of bitches, satanic, wicked, evil, because they're bombing children. No. When war is declared by the state of Gaza, which are directed by Hamas, then they enter and they annihilate whoever dies, whatever moves, whether it may be 1 year old to 99 or even more. It's as simple as that. But if we don't understand that, then we're hypocrites. We say, oh, yeah, the U.S., when they have to drop an atomic bomb, they drop it with no problem. Nobody tells them anything. Nobody says anything. Due to the greater good. That's the way it is. The wars, everything is triggered, everything is disturbed. No matter if it's a hospital, nothing matters. As how wars are. So then let us not be hypocrite. And if this is a war, it is a war of extermination. That's the way a war is. Very well. But Israel is not doing it because they want to do it, but rather because Yahweh is the one that guides them to do it, because it's written. So then, starting with the word violence. The word violence is Hamas. I'm going to read a text that I don't know if we read it last Shabbat that we studied this. Let's go to Bereshit 49. Bereshit 49, or Genesis 49, 5 through 10. I'll read in the Spanish DHH. I'll read in the DHH. Reads as follows. Simeon and Levi are brethren. Their weapons are instruments of violence. The word violence is Hamas. Why am I reading this? So that you see how they translate exactly how Hamas is violence. But the story continues, and I like it. Of the 2 tribes of the 12 tribes of Israel, and precisely in specialty, the one that Elohim determined, that the Creator determined to be the ones that were the priests, or the Kohanim. Levi, precisely, the descendants of Levi, goes over Aaron. It says, now, from here on out, you could be the Kohanim, or the priests, the ones that are in charge of the temple, Levi. And that is the word that looks more like LVE, Levi, LVE, that's the word. Very well. 6. Hamas would want to be in the gathering of... says that Levi and Simeon are more than violence. They are more than Hamas. Oh, my soul, stay away from them. May I never be a party to the wicked men, for in their anger they murdered men and they crippled oxen. They're talking about when their sister was raped and they killed a whole bunch of men. Cursed be their anger. Yahweh gets so upset. I don't even know why. It's all an act. Yahweh gets so upset how they acted that he says, not they cursed, but cursed, yes, cursed be their anger. In other words, to do things that are wild like this and that way, Yahweh makes it a curse. That's true. To do those types of vengeance, it's a great curse. And Yahweh says, cursed be that anger, that fierce anger that Simeon and Levi have. I will scatter them, he says. I will scatter them entirely throughout the nation of Israel. And Yahweh starts to pronounce a prophecy, strong ones. Judah, your brothers will praise you. No, actually, what is happening here are the blessings. The blessings that the Father is giving unto his sons. And we talked about Judah and Levi. This happened. Jacob's about to die, and he's giving the blessings to his children. And he remembers that wild, fierce anger they had and did what they did. Well, he's still speaking in the prophecy that Jacob is giving about his children. Judah, your brethren will praise you. Here it comes. That's why the Messiah, prophesied Messiah, they say that he doesn't come by Levi, but by Judah. They say that the Messiah is son of David. Then they say it comes by the tribe of Judah, what the people are waiting for and what it's prophesied. Judah, your brethren shall praise you. Your hand will be in the neck of your haters. Your father's son will go down to the earth before you. It's already prophesied that Judah will become the leader of all the tribes. You, Judah, my son, are like a young lion. Like a lion full of meat, you have become great, my son. Now he takes his rest like a lion stretched out. In whom will his sleep be broken? By whom? Here's the prophecy of the Messiah that Jacob doesn't even know what he's saying. Is Yahweh speaking through Jacob. Here comes a messianic prophecy. No one shall take the rod or the power from Judah. Oh, the rod. No one shall take the power from Judah. No, the rod of authority. Notice well. He says Judah will have power. That's why the Jews are descendants of Judah. That's why they're Jewish. Judah shall have the power. No one will take it away. And the rod of authority that they have in their hands, actually it says between his legs, but it'll look bad. You know, if it says the rod between his legs, the Christians will get terrified. What? What? What do you mean that Judah has? And it's very big. It's huge. And the rod of Judah is big. It's huge. And that's how he takes over all the peoples. So then it says, that's what the scripture says. Translated to Christians. I'm reading it like a Christian. No one shall take the power from Judah, nor the rod that he has in his hands. But it actually says, no one will take the power from Judah, nor the rod between his legs. That's what it says. Until Shiloh shall come. There it is. There it is, the prophecy. But hold on, okay? But hold on. The Messiah is coming. Judah shall have it, the balls and the power. But until a determined time. That who will come? Shiloh. And Shiloh, you know what it means. The pacifier. That's what it means. The pacifier. Until Shiloh shall come, the owner of the rod, the rod that Judah has, he thinks that it's his, and I bless him. But when Shiloh come, on top of taking it out, he's the true owner of that, unto which the owners shall obey. This is a prophecy that is impressive, that's messianic, that all the Jews and some Christians, no, all the Christians talks about Jesus, that Jesus, Shiloh. Jesus is Shiloh. All the Christians will say, not once, all. Wrongly so. Absolutely wrong. Because Jesus does not have the rod. The rod will be had by the Messiah. Clearly so. and will take it out of Judah. This prophecy is so great. It says the power of the whole world is had by Judah. Judah has it, of course. When you see it, you clearly see it. Absolutely clearly. But he says, no one shall take the power from Judah. That's perfect, nor the rod in between his legs, until Shiloh come, the owner of the scepter, unto which the people shall obey. And you know that the prophecy ends that way. That's Jacob, and stops speaking to his children. It says Judah because of what he did. Because of what Simeon and Levi did, I'll mix them between the people. I'll disperse them. And the one that will call the shots will be Judah. That's why they're called the Jews. Judah will be the governor and who will rule them all. Because unto him shall I give the rod of authority and power, but he shall rule until Shiloh come. And when Shiloh come, the pacifier, and when Shiloh come, the Mashiach. This is the Messiah, mind you. When the Messiah come, which is the owner of the scepter, not Judah, the owner of the scepter, unto which the people shall come. And you know that the Jews understand this very well. They explain it the way I'm explaining it. They have that power until the Messiah comes. And they gave it unto the Mashiach. They're waiting for the Mashiach. They have no problem of following the Mashiach because they need the Mashiach. Then so they said, yes, we have this power. When the Mashiach comes, we give him his power, our power over to him. It is very clear, absolutely clear. They understand that very clearly. So then we move on in Zephaniah. But I just wanted to give you this messianic prophecy that is phenomenal. Who would have the power of the world until they themselves give it over unto whom? Unto the Messiah. Either they give it over or the Messiah has to take it away. It doesn't say that. He'll have it in his hand until Shiloh come. Shiloh doesn't say that. Hand it over to Shiloh. It doesn't say that. It says that it switches hands. Okay? So then the last thing we've read in Zephaniah 1:9, we move on to number 10. And it shall come to pass in that day, saith Yahweh, that there shall be a noise of city from the fish gate, and an howling from the second, and a great crashing from the hills. He's speaking about all the things that Jerusalem will suffer, which the details, I don't care about the details a lot. It's precisely saying that in the city of Jerusalem there will be a great howl and pain and crashing. Howl, ye inhabitants of Maktesh, or of Maktesh. Howl, ye inhabitants of Maktesh, for all the merchant people are cut down. In other words, the merchant people will be destroyed. The merchant people will be destroyed. Many prophecies, which I will go into depth here. It's not necessary. I'm talking about Gaza. That's what we care about. But all this has to be fulfilled. And all that had money are cut down. Interesting. All that had money are destroyed. The great merchants, corporations, all the rest. And it shall come to pass at that time that I will search Jerusalem with candles. Notice when this started, it sometimes mentions Jerusalem like the city of God, sometimes calls Jerusalem like Babylon. We have to look at the context of what Yahweh is saying, because it's all written in code. Nothing is written directly, nothing is literal, it's all in key, and we have to know how we take the covering from every word. And it shall come to pass at that time. What is that time? The final time, the time of the wrath of Yahweh. The time of the wrath. And it shall come to pass at that time that I shall look at Jerusalem with candles. So then it means that Jerusalem is referring to the people of Elohim. Judaism, still, they are apt to accept Mashiach. It has to be judged and looked at with candles, and punish the man that are scattered on their lees, that say in their heart, The Yahweh will not do good, neither will he do evil. Those who could not care about the Messiah and all the rest, those men are the ones that I will punish. I'm trying to understand that Yahweh is saying in this text. Therefore, their goods shall become a booty, and their houses a desolation. And they shall also build houses, but not inhabit them. And they shall plant vineyards, but not drink the wine thereof. Who were these men which say in their heart, Yahweh shall not do good or evil? I interpret that it is the powerful part of Israel. I believe that it's all the hidden strength from the red children and all the rest, up until Zoros and all the rest. I have to mention them. All that part that's concealed, that they live building because they have all the money. They live in peace. Those that say, let's keep going. Yahweh's not going to do shit. Those they say that those are the ones that Yahweh will punish. The great day of Yahweh is near. It is near and at hand. Even the voice of the day of Yahweh hasteth greatly. The mighty men shall cry there bitterly. The day is a day of wrath. That's why I tell you that Zephaniah, which is a hidden book by Yahweh, everything that it says is not understood. You can understand it, don't understand it. Until a certain point. But we understand them clearly, the prophetic event, what has to happen, and part of what has to happen. And that's why we're reading this book. It is the destruction of Gaza, which is what we're seeing with our eyes. The day of wrath, that day, the day of trouble and distress, a day of wasteness and desolation, a day of darkness and gloominess. I read it with the way it is, because then you don't understand. A day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness, a day of trumpet and alarm, in other words, howling, against the fenced cities and against the high towers. In other words, this is the day of Yahweh. How many times have we read these texts and said, this is the Great Tribulation, this is the final day? But actually, all this has a context. The context of the Messiah, the context of everything that has to happen, that is happening now. And I will bring distress, here it is, the tribulation, and I shall bring distress upon men, that they shall walk like blind men, because they have sinned against Yahweh. That right there, they take it with a grain of salt. To sin against Yahweh is not to understand the truth. That is the truth. It's not that they sinned against Yahweh, but or else how could you write it here? I understand the way Yahweh would write in order for us to understand it later. They sinned against Yahweh, and their blood shall be poured out as dust, and their flesh as the dung. When it says that they sinned against Yahweh, it's that they never wanted to exercise justice at all whatsoever. They were dignified amongst themselves in injustice. And if you see, now, it's talking about Israel, because it started out saying that he will look at Jerusalem. Could it be Babylon? Of course, Babylon. But not the whole world, but rather those that are rich from Babylon. Why? Because it's talking about basically about Israel. Can we apply it to the whole world? Yes, we're going to apply it. But I think that in one way or another, he's talking about Israel, because like the way she governs the world, since she's the prostitute, since she's the beast, then there has to come a punishment upon those rulers that exercise such injustice upon the world. Why does it say this here? Why is it going to say they sinned against Yahweh if they are peoples, non-believers in Yahweh? They cannot sin against Yahweh, people, non-believers of Yahweh. So then that implies that they are people that understand. They understand the Torah, and they sinned against even their own principles of Torah. The blood shall be poured out like dust. I find that perfect. And their flesh as dung, nor their silver. I think it's the rich men that rule the world. Doesn't say. How could it be that they ruled the whole world centuries of years? Nor their silver, nor their gold shall be able to free them on the day of the wrath of Yahweh. They're the only ones that have gold. Now that we have a little fourth class ring of gold, that means nothing. They have tons of gold. So it says, not all their tons. Understand what the text says. Not all the tons of money they have made in real gold, nor their silver, nor their gold, should be able to free them in the day of the wrath of Yahweh. It is very clear. Who is he talking about? About the free owners of Babylon. That's what it's talking about. And it's talking about Jerusalem, which is Babylon. So then it's talking about the power, the political power, the darkness that rule this world, which is the prostitute, which are the bankers, the owners of all the corporations, Jewish corporations, the owners of everything, the owners of the pharmakeia, the owners of everything. I cannot speak more clearly. They own all the richness of the world. They, nor their silver, nor their gold, shall be able to free them, deliver them in the day of the Yahweh's wrath, but the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy. How much of the land? All the earth. It means that'll be the whole earth burned? No. The wrath of Yahweh and everything that Yahweh does, the Messiah does. The Messiah, Yahweh doesn't do a thing. When he says, I will do, he will do so through his Messiah. Or else no word will be fulfilled. Yahweh doesn't come to do a thing here on earth. It doesn't come to inflict not one sole punishment, nothing. Everything is done by the Messiah. Since he didn't do anything 2,000 years ago, up until now, with his hands very concealed, he's dealing, but not visibly. Also, he does not come to inflict the punishment. He does it through his Messiah, as also salvation. And the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy. The fire of his jealousy. That's the jealousy of the Messiah. All the people shall understand, not understand, but shall see. To understand something else, they shall see the Messiah. For he shall make even a speedy riddance quickly of all them that dwell in the land. I read this text in the Jerusalem 2001. Jerusalem 2001 it says, nor their silver, nor their gold shall be able to save them in the day of the wrath of Yahweh, when the fire of his jealousy devour the entire earth. For he shall do away in a terrific way. I believe it was the text of the invitation of the first one, right? GAZA 1? I think so. I think we just got to the invitation of GAZA 1. Neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to save them the day of the wrath of Yahweh, when the fire of their jealousy devour the whole earth. For he shall do away in a terrific way with all the inhabitants of the land. This is as literal as that? No, of course not. If he does away with all the inhabitants of the earth, he doesn't have anything. Even with us, it means. And then what do we do? In the millennium, nothing, because there's no one. It isn't so. This is, you have to decipher what it says. What do have to die, those who do have to die will die. In a terrific way, maybe. They deserve it, maybe. Now, what does that mean? That the jealousy will fill the whole earth, that it'll be seen, and they will all see the Mashiach in action. That is clear. Yahweh would not show up in the world. That will come, I believe, from the 7th millennium and on. When Yahweh, if he just allows himself to be seen, everyone should see him. But for now, not for now. This world ends without seeing Yahweh. The only one they see is the Lamb. And the Lamb is another name of the Messiah.
It is so well said that it's called the jealousy of his wrath and fury, right?
Very well said.
When a wife feels jealousy, it's because she knows that it's hers. If you feel jealousy for the earth, then you know that she is yours. You only feel jealousy.
Property, ownership. Yes. Jealousy has to do with your property, or else we're going to be jealousy, or else it's envy. Jealousy. Correctly so. As Leslie points out, it is about jealousy because it's about ownership. And all these sons of bitches that dominate and do evil will be done away with. Because it's the property of the Mashiach. He'll be jealousy for his own property. There'll be a conflict of territory. And so as to not have the conflict of territory, he just destroys all that are a threat to his territory. He's going to destroy with great jealousy all that are a threat to his territory. That's what you call jealousy. Clearly so. They threaten the territory and then they all get destroyed. In what way? Terrific way. Because we don't want to have any conflict. Since the earth is of the Messiah, not of Yahweh, then it says, oh, now that it's mine, now I kick out and I do away with this threat. Now it's the disaster. That's what it says. And how? Neither their gold or silver, the Messiah cannot be bought. The Messiah cannot be bought. That's what it's saying. If the red children says, I offer you this bank, what? Nor their silver, neither their gold can save them on the day of the wrath of Yahweh, which is the day of the wrath of the Lamb. When the fire of his jealousy, because they obtained the property of the earth, they devour the whole earth exactly, because the entire earth will be of the Messiah. For he will terrifically do away with not all the inhabitants, but all the threats. All that are a threat for his territory and kingdom. It's very clear. Once Yahweh gives the earth away to the Messiah, like Daniel chapter 7 says, that one that looked like a man came near, and Yahweh gave him honor, glory, and majesty. I can't remember the words. What did he give him? What did he give him? 3 things. It was opened in the book by itself. It was opened by itself. Tell the truth. I have to be looking for a half hour sometimes. It says, and I was looking in the visions of the night, and behold, in the clouds of heaven, and came the Ancient of Days, and brought him near before him. And there was given him these 3 things. Dominion, there it is. Dominion, poor things, these red children, all the rest. Not one of them will be left. No matter what race they are, poor things. These ass men, these donkey men. Imagine I'm the king, so-and-so al-Hamalal, man of ass men, wild ass men. Poor thing, not one of them will be left. Not one of them will be left. Why? Because the 3 things are given to the Son of Man. What is he given? He's given dominion, glory, and kingdom. That all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away. That's it. When they receive that, the fire of his jealousy destroys all the threats of his territory with words, Hamerian words. Very well. And I believe that I've given you enough. 2.5 hours. I'll leave it here. We're going to celebrate the birthday of Edward. Edward made it? Wow. So then let's go eat what Edward prepared for us, and now he'll make the rice, right? No? I know, but make him work. Make him work. I would say, and he learns. I had a teacher. He said that? Okay, then you make it. But he could watch to learn. Oh man, I tell you, there's nothing more sexy in a man other than for him to know how to cook. Sexy like that. A man that knows how to cook is sexy. Why? It has many advantages. First advantage. I was going to say another one. If you see it from the masculine point of view. Okay. If you see it from the machista point of view from Christian, as Leslie says, why is it convenient for a man to cook? Because he does not depend if your wife knows how to cook or not. I've seen so many men that have to resignate themselves to say, oh, this food was a lot better when my mom would cook. You don't know how she would cook. My sister, it's better. My grandmother, you don't know. I mean, when you cook, it's like, I don't know. Sometimes they don't say anything and they live frustrated. So the first solution, don't depend on your wife to make things better. Let her to make things better, but you have to know how to make them yourselves. In case she fails, you teach her, say, no, my life, could you do it a little bit like this? You need a little bit like this, you teach her, and then you get along, you practice. But when the man does not know, he does not what the fuck the food needs for it to be good. My mom, my sister, my grandmother made it better, and you give me dog shit. You know how many times I've seen that? So many times. So then, number one, if the man knows how to do everything, it's not that he takes the place from the woman, because this is the worst thing he could do. If he does to do everything, the kitchen is mine. No, the kitchen is my wife's. It's my wife's. Not that I know how to do things. It's something else. Now, to take her place away is something else. So then, what I'm saying, you have to know how to cook. And the second one is what Leslie said, which is the first one, from the positive point of view, that he helps her wife, his wife, when she doesn't want to do anything. He can do it when she authorizes it, right? To help. And she wants to be served something delicious. Exactly. A woman can pay you, but for you to cook for her and surprise her, how sexy is that? It is absolutely sexy. Just like that you have the two advantages of knowing how to cook. And if you are single, you don't have to wait to get married in order to eat deliciously. You can leave your mother's house and you don't depend on your mother. You depend on yourself. You have no need for your mother to cook for you. So many advantages. Maybe you don't get married because you don't find the right girl. But you are a chef. And you don't need anyone. And then later you find a girl. And of course, you find a girl. Some girl comes and you know how to make pasta from scratch. The girl is already melted. You make her pizza from scratch, and the people say the girl, if she likes, she's well, how skillful is he? If they ask you anything, he says, I know how to do anything. A man that knows how to do everything is sexy, not just cook. He knows how to fix everything. Everything you have to know how to do everything: electricity, carpentry, how to do mechanic work, welding, everything. A man is not sexy if he doesn't know how to do anything. The more a man knows how to do, the more sexy he is. If he specializes in something and doesn't know how to do the rest, he starts to lose the characteristics, or not, Leslie?
One of the many things that I liked about you is that you liked cooking.
Exactly.
I liked how you would like to innovate with new ingredients and things like that. And since I like cooking, then that's why.
Exactly. That was like a tip. So, boys, involve yourselves in the kitchen.
How nice that you cooked, and oh, today's your turn to cook, things like that.
Involve yourselves in the kitchen. Involve yourselves in the kitchen. Don't say, oh no, I'm a man, I don't cook. That is for the women. No. Involve yourselves in the kitchen. Learn to do everything that a woman does. And it serves you to help them, and when you don't have them, and when they can't do it, and you do it well, it is very, very important and sexy in women, or for a man, So then, there you have a good tip. And today we shall eat. What are we going to eat then? What did Edward make? What you make, Edward? Chicken and vegetables, and I almost convinced them to make the rice, okay? We're going to ask him again. Because if you're alone, let's say you move out, so then you want to make a rice. You can't even ask your mother or you to make the rice. Do you know how to defend yourselves? You came alone? Like a cook. Okay, good. And he's learning. He just needs to make the rice. Today, you learn how to make rice, which will be more delicious than any other rice. Don't get confused with the rice that may be that, You'd have to try Leslie's.
Es la mano también, receta.
It's also the way you make it, your hand, the practice.
Exacto, exacto. Así que,
Exactly. So then,
creo que
very
lo
well,
dejamos acá.
I believe I'll leave it here.
Que viene seguimos con
Next
Zephaniah
Shabbat, we'll
capítulo
continue
2,
on with Zephaniah
y
chapter
lo que
2
tengamos que
and
estudiar,
what we have to study
porque
later,
también vamos a
because
estudiar,
also we shall
el
study
otro texto que habla
the
sobre
other
esto.
text that talks about this.
Así que
So then,
espero que hayan entendido
I hope that you've
nuevamente
understood
el
clearly
mensaje de hoy.
today's
Todo lo
message.
que vivió Yeshua
Everything
como
that
Mesías,
Yeshua lived as a
en realidad es una
Messiah,
profecía
actually, it's a
de su
prophecy
enseñanza y de su
of his
vida, una
teaching and of his
profecía
life,
de lo
a
que iba a vivir
prophecy,
próximo,
what he
y
would live
único,
next to that, and
literal, y
unique and
definitivo como
literal and
Mashiach.
definitive as Mashiach.
Y él vino a los suyos,
And he
los
came to his
primeros no lo
own,
recibieron, el
and
Mesías
those
va a venir
his
a los
own did not
suyos, y
receive
son
him. The
la
Messiah will
mayoría,
come into his own, which are
no lo van a
most the
recibir,
Christians. The
pero
Christians
los
will not
otros,
receive him, but
y
the
ahí
others,
entran los
that
paganos,
is where
y
you enter the
especialmente los
pagans and
judíos,
especially the Jews
lo van a recibir.
will
Porque
receive
están
him
esperando.
because they're waiting for him.
Teniendo en cuenta todo eso,
When you have in
también
mind all
tenemos en
this,
cuenta las
we also
profecías
keep
sobre
in mind the
Gaza.
prophecies about
Todavía no
Gaza.
entramos directamente
We have
en
not
eso,
entered
pero la
directly
introducción
into
de
that,
leer el
but the
primer,
introduction of reading
capítulo de
the first
Zephaniah
chapter
fue
of Zephaniah was
que
that
nos pone la pauta
it
de
gives
que
us
esto
the
se trata
cue
del fin
that
del tiempo,
this
en el día
is in the end of times, in
la
the
ira de
day
Yahweh.
of the wrath of Yahweh.
No es una
That is why
profecía que quedó en el tiempo, que se
it's not a
cumplió,
prophecy left
quién
in
sabe
time,
cuándo, no.
fulfilled
Esta
who knows
profecía
what.
es una
No, this
profecía del
prophecy
final
is a
de los
prophecy
tiempos
of the end of
y
times,
justamente
and it's
la
precisely
antesala al
the
día de Yahweh, porque dice, miren, está muy cercano.
day before
Cuando
of the day of
empieza a
Yahweh.
estas cosas están muy cercanos.
The
Justamente habla
anteroom
de que los
says
poderosos
precisely,
ricos van a perder el poder,
it says that with the
van a perder
powerful
el
and the
poder
rich will
a
lose the
causa
power
del más
due
del, no dice,
to,
dice de
it
Yahweh,
doesn't
sino
say,
de
it says of
jealousía
Yahweh, but it'd say
exclusiva
there's
por
jealousy of the
defensa de su
Mashiach
propiedad,
due to defending of his own
y eso
property,
cuando le entreguen
and
la
that is
propiedad.
when they give him the property to the
Sin
Mashiach.
más,
Without any further ado, let us wrap up with a word of prayer.
Amado Yahweh, te damos
Beloved
gracias
Yahweh, we give you
porque al
thanks
leer el
because
libro, la
in
carta
reading
que nos
the
dejaste,
book,
la
the
entendemos
letter you
claramente.
left for us, we
Entendemos
understand it
claramente
clearly.
cómo
We
nos
understand
estás
clearly
preparando
how
para
you are
el Mashiach,
preparing the
para el
Mashiach
momento en que le
for the time
entregues
in which
el
you
reino,
hand over the
el poder
kingdom,
y la gloria,
the power and the
para que
glory,
gobierne
that
sobre todos los habitantes, sobre
they
esta
rule
tierra.
over all the inhabitants
Y
of
tiene
this
que
earth.
tener claro
And he has to
lo
have in
que
clear
va
what
a hacer,
it is
cómo
that
va a
he shall
actuar,
do, how he shall
y
act,
todo esto
and all
relacionado
this
con este
related
tiempo que
with
estamos
this
viviendo.
time that we're
Te damos
living.
gracias porque tú nos
We give you
guías y nos
thanks
haces
because you
ver
guide us
las
and you
cosas
make us
profundas,
see the
escondidas de la
profound
Escritura,
things, hidden
porque somos
things
tus
in
reyes,
Scripture,
porque somos tus
because
hijos.
we're your kings,
En
we're your
tu
children.
precioso nombre,
In your precious
Yahweh
name,
Sebaot.
Yahweh Sabaoth, Alleluia. Semper Fi to each and every one of you. Long live the Argentum Bride of Elohim. Do not forget to comment, especially with what we talk about today. Let the laurels be eternal that we knew how to achieve. Crowned with glory, let us live. Yeshua reigneth. Alleluia to every one of you.